Okay, so I might be slightly uh, psychopathic, or for do. Okay, I must just failed for doing. Oh god, that's already gonna go horribly. But basically, my idea for today is to talk about FNAF lore for like an hour while doing parkour and just try not to get distracted. It's not gonna go well in the slightest, but it will be beautiful. Yes. So just for some context, I know like a decent amount of FNAF lore. I know like enough to be able to like talk about it for a while, but I don't know enough to be like completely sure on anything. So I'm just gonna be like, I almost missed that jump. I'm gonna be so this is gonna go so poorly. But anyway, I should probably start off with what, like the first game, Oh, okay. I should probably like start. Don't question my skin, by the way. It's for something else. But I should probably start off with the first game, shouldn't I? FNAF 1. It was when was it released? Like August 2014. Oh, God, it's almost 8 years. Oh God. Okay. It was like August 20. I almost said 18. August 2014. And it was made, it was, I think it was made in a couple months. I'm gonna like say a lot of things I remember from like the YouTuber Daco interviewing Scott Cawthon, the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's. And it's just gonna be so bad. Okay, but I think it was like a couple months. I think he said he modeled Freddy in like a week. Not a week, a day, was it? Oh god, and then like, no, 2 days maybe, and then spent like a day like on Bonnie, just remodeling Freddy into Bonnie. Um, this is already going so poorly. Okay, so then he, oh god, so it's, FNAF 1, FNAF 1. The basic story is you're working at a pizza location that's haunted because animatronics are haunted. Because there's some guy who killed 5 kids and then put them into the animatronic suits. And then their souls possess the animatronics, and that's like the basic summary of the lore in FNAF 1. And it takes place in most likely 1993, but some people think it takes place in 2003 because of the math on what is it, FNAF 3, because there's like some kind of specific phone thing that's like, hey, this is 20 years after the first location or something like that, or like the last location or something like that. So people were like, okay, so FNAF 1 is obviously in 2003, but no, it's 30 years, 30 years, 30 years. Because they thought FNAF 3 took place in 2030, no, 2033, yeah. But then, it's not like, I don't know if it's confirmed. I don't know if the date's confirmed, and I don't know if like the 30 years is necessarily like supposed to be completely accurate. This is like the tough place about knowing like FNAF lore, is because there's like a lot of retcon stuff. Because basically, if you don't know, Scott Cawthon, the maker of FNAF, didn't have like a full story. Like, this is so hard to do. Talk while I'm doing parkour. Okay, the creator of FNAF, Scott Cawthon, didn't have like a full story planned out when he made the first game. He just like added on to the story basically when he was making new games. So a lot of it was like not completely like there. That was not a good. I mean, it's not a bad time. It's not bad. Okay. We have downtime here, so I can like say my thoughts better. So the creator of Freddy's, Scott Cawthon, didn't know like that the first game was gonna be successful, because basically the first FNAF game was like Scott Cawthon's like, okay, this is like almost my like last chance in game development, because basically Scott Cawthon had like been developing games since he was like 13, I think. If I remember correctly, he had been developing games for a while, and they just weren't like doing well. They weren't like critically successful and such. And then he created a game called Chipper and Sons. Is it Lumberco? I want to say it's Lumberco. And it was supposed to be like this cheery game where you play as like a beaver, I think, called Chipper. Yeah, I think you play as Chipper. I don't know if you play as Chipper or not. But there's like this beaver called Chipper. I think he's a beaver. I don't know. But you know, in the game, there's a beaver character, and a lot of the critics, or at least one critic, I think, they're a YouTuber, I forget their name. I don't know, but they said like, yo, these guys, they don't look like animals, they look like creepy animatronics. And Scott Cawthon was like, you know what, I can capitalize on this. And he then was like, okay, FNAF made. And then, you know, so like the first game was kind of just like a hey, this might work, let's just make it. It was never meant to be like a, hey, this will be successful, let's make this into a series. You know, so he never fully expected there to be multiple games. So like the first game he made lore, and then the second game he's like, okay, let's add more lore. And then the third game he was like, let's add more lore. And it just kept on going until he had like a lot of lore. So it wasn't like a planned out thing, it was just added on top. So some stuff, I'm pretty sure he said some stuff is like retconned. So like not everything that's in the game is necessarily canon, which you know. And then don't even get me started on the books. Like I'll get started on the books like eventually, but don't even get me started on the books, because the books, if you don't know, there's multiple book series actually for FNAF. There's like this like book series, which I think there's 3 or 4 books or something, and it's like, it tells us a story. Basically, I have skipped around so much, this is not coherent in the slightest. Okay, but basically the books tell the story of like this girl named Charlie, who has a father named Henry, and then, you know, if you know, you know, but if you don't, then, you know, there'll be context later on for how that connects. And you know, so there's like, so like I said, just like I said, there's like some connections between the books and the games. Like they connect back in some ways, but they're not like canon. Like the books aren't canon to the game series. There's just some stuff that's canon in the books that's also canon in the games, if you get what I mean. Like not everything is canon, but there's some stuff in the books that can be considered canon, but we're like, you're not specifically told what's canon, so you just have to like assume what's canon and what's not, and it's like, okay. And then there's also another series called Fazbear Frights, which is basically like Goosebump stories. I did not do the jump there, okay. Honestly, I probably wouldn't have made it if I jumped, so it's probably good that I just let this linebacker. I'm getting distracted. Okay, but they're like Goosebump stories, and it's basically just telling a whole lot of stories. So like, this kid was a troublemaker, and then, you know, he was like, and then he like has something bad happen that's related to FNAF. And yes, and that's basically the summary of like most of them. Not most of them, but some of them. Also, yeah, I should mention spoilers for FNAF, because I'm just gonna like talk. So if you haven't seen like any of the, if you haven't like played the games and you wanna like, don't get spoilers, especially for like Security Breach, even though I don't know that much about Security Breach, or like the books, even though I haven't read the books, but I still know like some of this stuff for the books. So if you don't want spoilers for that stuff, then don't watch, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, so the books connect in some way to the games, but like you don't know how they connect necessarily. You just have to like assume that they're gonna connect in some ways. I didn't think I would make that, but you have to assume that they're gonna connect in some ways, you know, like they connect in some ways. So back to FNAF 1. This is so bad. Okay, so basically FNAF 1, you have all that stuff, and then you have the 5 main animatronics. Well, you have 4 main animatronics. You have Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, and Foxy. You know, Bonnie, Freddy, and Chica are in the main stage, and Foxy is on like his own little stage by himself. And then yeah, so basically, I mean, do I want to talk about gameplay? do I want to spend time talking about gameplay? I don't think I do. But basically, you know, and then there's a 5th like Easter egg animatronic called Golden Freddy. That's just a suit, mainly. That I'll talk about later, like how it connects. But I'm running out of breath. Okay, but basically, Golden Freddy is this Easter egg animatronic that if you find a poster, so there's a poster in one of the cameras, in one of the rooms, and it's usually a Freddy poster, but sometimes it can occasionally be like a Golden Freddy poster, and then if you flick down the camera, the Golden Freddy suit will be in your office, and if you don't flick your camera back up fast enough, it'll just crash your game. So yeah, one of the no, I was just about to say one of the retcons is that in the phone guy recordings in the first game they say the byte of 87, but that's not a retcon because that's technically I was gonna say yay, that's actually the byte of 83, but no. Also, fun fact: there's 2 bytes. There's a byte of 83 and a byte of 87. But yeah, no. That's not how that works. Also, I'm not doing this in chronological order, yes, necessarily. Actually, I probably should. So I might just not go by game. I might just do chronological order. I don't know. I'm doing okay. But yeah, I'm just I might go through chronological order. I might not. I don't really know. No. I'll go through chronological order. So forget what I said about FNAF 1. I'm not gonna go through each game because that would take actually, do I want to be here for hours? I could be. But do I want to be? That's the question. No, you know what? I'll just do chronological order. I'll still be here for a while. So basically, so let's start chronological order, I guess. I don't know. So basically, if you want to know context, there's 2 characters that are the most important, I guess, to FNAF lore overall. Henry and William Afton. If you remember the name Henry, I mentioned it in the books just a bit ago. But basically, that's one of the main things that's kind of taken from the books. So we know, do we know the name of Henry in the games? Oh, that's actually a good question. I don't know, but I know the last name. So in the books, Henry's last name is Emily, but that's never confirmed in the games. So it's just assumed that in the games, Henry's last name is also Emily. And I guess maybe we just assume that Henry's first name is Henry in the games too, even though it's not necessarily the case. But I don't know fully. Oh God, I know he's in Pizza Simulator in one of the later games. He's mentioned as the tape guy, right? I don't know if he's ever mentioned by name. It doesn't matter. So basically there's these 2 guys, Henry, Emily, and William Afton. And William Afton, you might recognize the name. You probably shouldn't recognize the name. He's the purple guy, So spoilers, so there, I believe I'm mixing up with Wildfire lore. I don't know, but basically they're they team up and they're let's build a restaurant with animatronics. So they create Freddy Faz. No, is it Freddy Fazbear's Diner? Or is it just Fazbear's? No, Fazbear's Family Diner. Fazbear's Family Diner. That's the name of the restaurant. They create Fazbear's Family Diner, and it's it's successful. They have animatronic suits that function as both animatronics and suits, so people can wear them if they're in a specific mode, but then they can also just straight up be animatronics because there's a mechanism in them called spring locks, which basically means that you can change the function of the suit into a suit or an animatronic. And that can definitely never go poorly, especially although it can very go poorly, especially if the suit is wet, in which case the spring locks malfunction and the person inside the suit will die. Fun, but basically you don't need to know that much. Oh God, wait. Okay. This is where. So this is how complicated FNAF lore is. The timeline can already be different depending on your viewpoint of it. So so there's 2 events that happen in FNAF that can both be placed around this time. But which one comes first is seems to be debated upon, but the one that seems most logical to me is William Afton has 3 children. Michael Afton, which is the oldest, and I don't know which is the second oldest, but then also a kid who we believe is named Evan Afton, which I'll talk about. Well, no. Okay. So the Evan Afton is the name Evan is necessarily confirmed. However, there's a book called The Survival. Oh God, what is it called? The Survival Logbook, which basically goes over. I think that's what it's called. Which basically goes over like, it's like a guide for like how security guards can survive in FNAF. But like I guess that's like the name or the reasoning for it. But it's like an actual like book in real life that you can buy, and it basically just like gives lore stuff and like explains stuff better. So in this book, there's like some kind of like puzzle or something that's in it. It took a while. It's like I'm like skipping over it, but it's like actually was like really monumental. And basically, it suggests that the name of the one son of William Afton is named Evan. And then the daughter is Elizabeth Afton. Basically, the first point in the timeline that I think, at least, but people might disagree, is that William Afton's daughter, Elizabeth Afton, is killed. And basically what happens with that is William Afton... Oh God, okay, this is where the timeline gets confusing. Because, okay, so William Afton likes to work on robots, and he made robots called the Funtime animatronics, which are the robots that are in sister location. And basically, what happens with I shouldn't have, that might have locked them out. I probably shouldn't have left. But basically, oh God, what am I? Okay, I collect my thoughts for you. At least give me a second. So basically, the Funtime animatronics in sister location, they're designed to capture kids and lure them in because William Afton wants to. Like, the sister location animatronics are designed to lure kids in and then capture them and then kill them. And basically the goal of this is because William Afton wants to experiment with a thing called Remnant, which basically is like soul juice, I think, and would allow William Afton... There's a lot of good people, okay. Which would allow William Afton to like... he's like messing with immortality, basically. He's experimenting with immortality. And basically, he wants to kill kids to experiment with the Remnant, and he creates these Funtime animatronics in order to do that, which is why the timeline is confusing, because it seems like, in FNAF 4 at least, it seems like Elizabeth Afton dies first, because her room is empty, and also if the theory that in FNAF 4, you know how they like the nightmare animatronic, or the nightmare thing, has like teeth in its stomach. The theory is that the crying child saw his sister getting scooped by the Funtime animatronics. So basically the Funtime animatronics, they like scoop kids in, their like stomachs open up, and then like a contraption comes in that like grabs the kid and then shoves the animatronic into the cavity in their stomach. It's really weird, but that's like how they work. So that's like the theory, because in FNAF 4, basically in FNAF 4, it's thought that... I'm skipping over so much. Okay, wait. Okay, let me solidify some facts first. So, in FNAF 4, the lore of FNAF 4 is that Evan Afton, the one son of William Afton, basically gets his head bitten by the Golden Freddy animatronic, which is also the same animatronic that is Golden Freddy in FNAF 1, the suit without like any movement, because it's thought that like the spring locks either are removed from the Golden Freddy suit, or they're just not working anymore, so the suit can't move. So they're bitten by the so Evan Afton is bitten by Golden Freddy animatronic, and then it's thought that he doesn't die right away, and instead in the hospital has nightmares about the animatronics coming into his room, which is the gameplay in FNAF 4. That's kind of like what the commonly thought idea for FNAF 4 is, like what the gameplay means, because there's things like flowers on the bedside and like IVs and such, which makes you think, oh, this is in a hospital, so it either is like, the crying child, or well, okay, so Evan Afton is called the crying child. The bite victim that the kid that Golden Freddy bit, Evan Afton, William Afton's son, It's called the bite victim or the crying child. You know, I just boosted. Why did I boost? Okay. So yeah. So oh god, what? Okay. Sorry. Uh, so also the meme, the Markiplier says it was at the bite of 87. That was not the bite of 87. That was actually the bite of 83, and that's when Evan Afton or the crying child or the bite victim gets bitten by Golden Freddy. So you know the gameplay of FNAF 4 is thought to be Evan Afton in the hospital, kind of like facing against his fears. Although, like an idea, like a possible like note to that is it could be Michael Afton, the eldest son of William Afton, like his nightmares, because basically Michael Afton led to the death of his brother Evan Afton because Michael Afton and his friends like were bullying his brother and then put his head into the mouth of Golden Freddy, which led to Golden Freddy biting down on Evan Afton, you know. So basically Michael Afton like shoved his brother into the place that killed him, so he would of course be like haunted by that, and you know, so it would make sense for that like FNAF 4 to be Michael Afton streams too, because he would also have seen like the hospital stuff and things like that. And then I guess I could also loop back to my other, like my first point, which was like the confusing timeline thing, because William Afton's daughter dies to one of the Funtime animatronics that I mentioned earlier. Basically, there's one animatronic called the baby animatronic, which is like the one clown girl animatronic, and William Afton's daughter, Elizabeth Afton, loves this animatronic, like actually just like fully loves this animatronic and wants to like meet her and such, and like just like, because I'm pretty sure, I don't know if, I think it's like a book thing, but I'm pretty sure it's like an actual like canon in-game thing that the baby animatronic was kind of modeled after Elizabeth Afton, but I forget if that's actually factual or not. That might not be factual, but I'm pretty sure, like, I just know Elizabeth Afton wanted to see the baby animatronic and wanted to like meet her and like just loved her. So so Elizabeth Afton kind of like sneaks backstage while nobody's looking and sees the baby animatronic, and the baby animatronic is like, hey, there's a kid here. I'm programmed to, you know, eat kids when there's nobody around, and there's a kid and there's nobody around, so let me just casually scoop this kid into my cavity and kill her. So, you know, Elizabeth Afton dies from that, and it's thought that the whoever is experiencing the FNAF 4 dreams probably saw that, because the what am I thinking of? Oh, the nightmare animatronic. Yeah, I think it's at the 5th night, I want to say. It's like this like boss animatronic. God, I lost it. Okay. But it's like this boss animatronic that has like teeth for his mouth, you know, which is oddly specific considering that the sister location animatronics have, you know, openable stomachs that eat kids, you know. So it's like, you know, like the connection is there. So, you know, I think people think that it's Evan Afton, but it could also be like Michael Afton, and it would fit more in the timeline that Evan Afton dies first, is bitten by Golden Freddy, and then possesses Golden Freddy, and then later Elizabeth Afton dies, and Michael Afton also sees that and then has nightmares about both of them, like connected. And the FNAF 4 gameplay is kind of like like you can kind of tell that it's nightmares because oh god, what is it? I think cause like the items on the desk change from like IVs to roses and such, so it would just make sense. And then also, yeah, you wake up. Well, you don't necessarily wake up, but like the alarm goes off, and you know you could be like waking up from the alarm, and yeah, so I'm already losing complete and utter like any kind of comprehension of anything. So yeah, so basically, you know, Bite of 83 happens in 1983. Evan Afton possesses a Golden Freddy animatronic. Elizabeth Afton dies and then possesses the sister location baby animatronics, and then the sister location place, which I think was called, oh god, what was it called? Was it like Babies? I don't actually remember what it was called. But that was closed after one day of being open because Elizabeth Afton decided she wanted to go see the animatronic, and William Afton decided he wanted to, you know, not let kids see the animatronics by themselves because then they would die. Yeah, so this is the location animatronics are like stored underground and everything. And then, you know, Fazbear Diner closes down because obviously they don't want that kind of case. And then I think another location opens up. Okay. How am I? Okay, I'm nowhere near like the correct timeline now, so just don't listen to anything I'm saying. I'm just talking at this point. So the then somewhere in the timeline, the FNAF 2 location opens up, which has the puppet in it, the marionette. Which basically, if you don't know, the puppet was kind of designed as a security puppet type of thing, which is a feature that was pointed out in FNAF Pizza Simulator, which is a game which basically you make your own pizzeria, and then there's a bunch of like lore stuff in it, and it's fun. I've heard it's not very fun. I've never played the actual games. But it has the sick cutscene, not the cutscene, the sick monologue in it, like the connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth, if you still even remember that name, but I'm afraid you've been misinformed. That monologue, so basically, the security puppet is designed by Henry, which is the nicer guy in the thing, the guy who doesn't design robots to kill kids, because he kind of knew, I think, at this point that William Afton was like, yeah, nah, I don't really want this guy anywhere near here. So he creates the security puppet, I think specifically to watch his daughter, Charlotte. Yes, which, if you know, like Charlotte from the books, Charlotte, they're the same person. But not like the same. They're not the same person because the lores are different from the books to the games, but they're like the same name. They're the same relation to Henry. So, you know, that happens, and then William Afton is like, you know what? No, I don't like this girl. I don't want this girl to be alive. So he kills her, because she's trapped outside of the pizzeria while the security puppet is trying to get outside, while William Afton is killing, Charlotte, Henry's daughter. But, you know, the puppet can't get outside in time, so Charlotte dies, and then the puppet gets outside finally, and then Charlotte possesses the puppet, which leads to a lot of stuff, because the puppet kind of like helps the other kids possess the other animatronics in the future. So it's like a really big thing. And then so I believe before that there's a mini game in FNAF Pizza Simulator called Midnight Motorist, and then there's a secret location in that game, which basically when you're driving on the road, it's like a racing game. Like you have to like avoid like cars coming by you, and coming at you and like about to hit you. And there's like in the side of a road, there's like a hole, and if you go into that, then you get taken to this place, and there's this orange guy who, like this orange sprite that comes out of the car, and it's commonly thought that that's William Afton. I've heard that the mini game is supposed to be like William Afton coming back from killing Charlotte, but I don't know how much I necessarily believe that, because he goes to a location called Junior's, and then is like pushed away from at the door. Like he said, like some guy comes out to or some guy's like outside the door and says like, hey, you can't be here. You remember that? So it seems like the type of thing that like that thing wouldn't have happened yet, you know? Although I don't know, I forget if Junior's is thought to be the location in FNAF 2 or not. I think people have said it's not, but again, I don't know necessarily like confirmation wise if it is or not. But yeah, so basically, okay, I'm not even like, I'm just like saying what I know at this point. I'm not saying any coherent okay. So FNAF, yeah. FNAF 2 happens. There's like the animatronics are thought like, at least in my interpretation, FNAF 2 happens sometime around 1987. So there's like the toy. Okay, wait. I completely forgot about the location. Oh God. Basically, sometime in the period of, I'm not moving. Okay, sometime in the period of FNAF 4 and FNAF 2, there's another restaurant that opens up that has the animatronics from like FNAF 1 in it. But it's not the FNAF 1 location, because the FNAF 1 location happens after FNAF 2. Like, the game happens after FNAF 2. So it's kind of like this own separate location. And I believe it takes place in like 1985, because there's a book called, there's a story in Fazbear Frights called The Pit, I believe. And in The Pit, there's a time-traveling ball pit, which basically, you go into the ball pit, you get traveled back in time to the... you travel back in time, and basically there's this kid called like Oswald, I think, who goes back, and he goes to this pizzeria, and the ball pit is in the pizzeria, and he goes into the ball pit, and then he gets traveled back in time to the pizzeria that's in the same location as the pizzeria he was just in, but it's like a FNAF pizzeria now. And it takes place in 1985, and there's like the 5 murders that he experiences. And then, you know, crazy things happen in that book, because the Golden Bunny suit, which is thought to be like metaphorical for like William Afton, comes back with Oswald after he goes back into the ball pit after experiencing those murders, and then pretends to be his father, and nobody else notices anything but Oswald, because Oswald is the only one that can see that he's the Golden Rabbit animatronic suit and not his father, and nothing happens to like anybody else. Like he doesn't really do anything weird. He just kind of like stares at Oswald and like for like days, and then Oswald goes back to the pizzeria and then sees in the ball pit that his dad is there, and then they like fight the Golden Bonnie animatronic, and then, you know, they win, and then they go back and his dad is fine, and it's like it's the books are weird. The books are weird. But yeah, so basically so I guess it's like possible that the first 5 murders happen, like the first like 5 murders that like everybody talks about happens in that 1985 location, which has like the FNAF 1 animatronics. Although I'm not sure if that's like technically confirmed or not. Basically, the first 5 murders have like the 5 kids, like Fritz, Cassidy, oh god, Jeremy, is that one of them? I don't know the other names, but yeah, so basically I think that's when it happens. And then, you know, FNAF 2 happens. The animatronics from that old location, who may or may not be haunted, are in the FNAF 2 location. And there's also the new toy animatronics, which I don't think are haunted, but they are like programmed to track William Afton. And I guess just any night guard to be like wary of them. So that's why they kind of like attack you if you don't have the Freddy mask on in FNAF 2. I think they might be haunted. I don't know. I don't actually know that. But they just might be like programmed and then like tampered with or something. To like, you know, like do that. So FNAF 2, I think, is the only game in which there's like 2 different security guards depending on the night. For the first, I want to say 5 or 6 nights, you play as a security guard named Jeremy, I believe, and at the end of, it's either the 5th or 6th night, you're told, hey, you're gonna do the day shift tomorrow instead of the night shift, and then, you know, the bite of 87 happens to what people think is Jeremy, the guy who you were just playing as night guard. So then for the last night, you play as a different guy, who we think is Michael Afton, the son of William Afton, kind of coming back to the locations, getting jobs there to try to like figure out what happened and try to put like an end to what his father did, you know? So that's what we think, I think. And then, you know, Jeremy got bit, and then he might have survived, because you can survive without the frontal lobe, because in FNAF 1, the fun guy's like, hey, it's amazing that the human body can survive without the frontal lobe, right? Funny. So, So it's not that Jeremy survives, I think. I don't know. But yeah, so FNAF 2 happens, done. And then the next point in the the next one is either sister location or FNAF 1. It doesn't. Okay, wait, no, wait. Okay, I'm just gonna ignore sister location for a bit because sister location can kind of go like multiple different places on the timeline, like kind of logically, kind of not logically. It's really confusing, but I'm just gonna ignore sister location for now. So then FNAF 1 happens canonically, which is like 1993, I think, so quite a bit after FNAF 2. And I think at this point, like the Freddy's brand is kind of just like non-existent. I think, so, there's like this abandoned pizzeria, I don't know, like there's cobwebs. Why would there be cobwebs? Why does it look abandoned? Why is there a security guard in an abandoned pizzeria? It doesn't make sense, but it's fine. So, I mean, technically FNAF 1 could be like a Nightmare 2 since there's posters that change. Like it could also be like Michael Afton's Nightmare, after like FNAF 4 and FNAF 1 could just both be like Michael Afton's Nightmare because he led to the death of his brother. But so it's like it's confusing in that way, like it doesn't it doesn't line up necessarily anywhere, but it happens. And I'm pretty sure it's like thought that the security guard in FNAF 1 is also Michael Afton because he's trying to figure out more stuff. And then, yeah, so the animatronics are still there. And then at this time, the Golden Freddy animatronic is possessed by what we think is two spirits, which is Evan Afton, the bite victim, from 1983, and also Cassidy, which was one of the original, like, 5 murders that William Afton did. So it's like... So we think it's possessed by 2 spirits, which might also be why it can't move, because, like, conflict and such. But yeah, so... FNAF 1, and then after FNAF 1 happens, I believe William Afton goes to that location, or like one of the locations, and starts to dismantle the animatronics. I assume it's either for parts or to take their remnant and try to like experiment with it, because again, remnant is kind of this like thing that can make you technically, what is it? Like technically, what is it called? Immortal, like you can't die if you like William Afton's idea is that you can't die if you have the remnant, and of course remnant is like an in-game thing, like yeah, but so like his idea is that like, hey, let's like use this. I guess that's maybe why he's there, but he dismantles the animatronics, which in turn like accidentally like releases the animatronics souls, and then he gets caught up in the Springtrap animatronic, because they like scare him into it, because he's like, okay, I can hide in here, but little does he know, it's so the Springtrap animatronic, by the way, is the Spring Bonnie animatronic. So in the Fazbear's Family Diner that I talked about with the Springtrap animatronic suits, there's a Springtrap Freddy and a Springtrap Bonnie. So the Springtrap Freddy is of course haunted by 2 spirits. I don't know where it is. It might not exist anymore, and it might just be like hallucinations whenever Golden Freddy shows up. But yeah, so the Springtrap Bonnie suit is in the back of some kind of restaurant, FNAF restaurant, and then William Afton goes into it like ha 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 ha, and then it's actually dripping water in that room. So the spring locks malfunction, and William Afton dies, but he doesn't die because he has remnant somehow. So he survives that, and then becomes Springtrap. He kind of survives it, like he's like half survives it, because technically he's still Springtrap, but then also like the animatronic part of it is still like somewhat in control, because in FNAF 3, Springtrap can be lured by audio, which wouldn't make sense unless he was also still like somewhat controlled by the animatronic part of it, because like what logical human would be like, oh, there's a sound over there, even though I see the security guard in the window, that sound is obviously where the security guard is, like that's just my thinking. I don't know if that's like solid thinking or not. so then, you know, that happens, and then well, FNAF, yeah, okay, we can just skip FNAF 3 because I don't want to talk about such a location yet because it's convoluted where it is in the timeline. So basically, FNAF 3, FNAF 3 is thought to happen in like 2023, I think, and it's basically a bunch of people are making this like horror attraction based around the original FNAF like pizzerias, and you know, it's gonna be like this like exhibit thing. So they find like parts, like old animatronics, and they have like a security guard who's like acting as a security guard and such, and might actually like be like just a straight up security guard too. So he's like behind the window, and like people could like look and like see him like pretending to be like a security guard in the old FNAF establishments. So that's why on the first night in FNAF 3, you don't like have to worry about like anything, because after the first night they find an actual animatronic in one of the old locations, and that animatronic is Springtrap, which is the one that's possessed by William Afton. So you know, and then you have to worry about an animatronic because you have Springtrap to worry about. And then also, the security guard in FNAF 3 is thought to be Michael Afton again, because at the end of FNAF 3, the location is mysteriously burned to the ground. I wonder who did that. Definitely not Michael Afton trying to burn everything in the establishment, because Remnant is supposed to go away with fire, which is like a weird fact. I don't think it's actually true anymore because, you know, it didn't actually do anything. And then Springtrap survived. Not very surprisingly, the fire. And then Pizza Simulator happens. I think I want to say it's also in the future. I don't know how far in the future it is compared to FNAF 3, but I know it's I know it's past FNAF 3. And basically, Henry comes back, the one guy who his daughter died to William Afton, and who was like one of the original guys who made the Fazbear's Family Diner. So Henry comes back and is like, you know what, I'm going to end this. I'm going to trap all of these animatronics in this location and then burn all of them. Even though that didn't seem to work last time, I'm going to do this. So he sets up a new location, and then hires somebody to like manage it, and basically tells them, hey, I'm going to get animatronics lured here. If you see any animatronics in the back alleyway, bring them in. And you know, like bring them in and like keep them in here. And then that doesn't end up too well for the security guard, because then the animatronics are attacking him at night when he's trying to do his basic choice, because the animatronics just aren't nice and don't respect him at all. So wait, why am I can just jump here. Okay, wait, bruh. Okay, so wait, bruh. Okay, so basically, yes, that all happens, and it's all fun and dandy, and then at the last night, Henry has the epic monologue, and he's like, yeah, and like, to you, my dear volunteer, who somehow found this job listing not intended for you, although there was a way out planned for you, I have a feeling that's not what you want. I have a feeling that you are right where you want to be. I am remaining as well. I am nearby. And he's talking about like burning the place down at this point. Like, hey, there was a way out for you to get out of the fire, but you probably don't want to do that, because you probably want to like be here and die here. Because, you know, the security guard, the guy who was running it, is also Michael Afton, trying to like get rid of everything that happened. So that happens, and then it burns down. And then in Security Breach, it's kind of confirmed that didn't matter, because there's the thing called the Blob, which is like Molten Freddy and everybody, and they're still alive. And I don't know if Michael Afton and if Michael Afton and Henry are still alive. So it might have just been for nothing, technically. And also, William Afton is still alive. What did I do? Wait, what? Oh, that was the wrong. I thought that was the other map. Okay. But yeah, so that happens, and then I don't know that much about security breach, but I know it's like 50 years in the future or something, 20 years, 30 years, I don't know. And Springtrap is still alive, and he's controlling a girl named Vanny, who may or may not also be the security guard Vanessa. It's not confirmed, I don't think, nor denied, and it's confusing, and we don't know the true ending of Security Breach yet, and we don't know what Glamrock Freddy is. Is he possessed by Michael Afton? Maybe. Is he possessed by Henry? Maybe. Do we know? No. Why is he malfunctioning and helping us instead of the why are the other animatronics not doing that? No one knows. So let's hope the DLC that's coming out next year answers some of those questions, because it would be helpful. It would be helpful, you know. So let's go back to Sister Location. Basically, in Sister Location, guess who's also the security guard? Yep, it's Michael Afton. And I believe why he's in this location is because William Afton specifically told Michael to go there because he said like, hey, your sister is there, go see her, or something like that. I think I don't fully know. I believe so. I just don't fully know. I'm pretty sure, but I could be wrong. Because there's a monologue where it's no, that's not the monologue. Oh god, there's a monologue that I'm thinking of, but it's not the monologue because it's like after Sister Location, and it's like, Father, it's me, Michael. I found her. I don't know how I'm alive, but I don't know. I don't know the last part. But and I will find you or something like that. And then it's like, okay, now like either like Pizza Simulator or FNAF 3 is gonna happen because, well, I assume it's after FNAF 3 because Springtrap is seen in the sewers, which would indicate that he's escaped from some kind of location, which he did after FNAF 3. So I'm guessing that's like what Michael Afton said after, like, when he like saw him in FNAF 3 or something. No, maybe it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just him, like, yeah, I guess it's like after FNAF 3, and it's like Michael Afton saw his father and he saw like Elizabeth Afton, but like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like two separate times. Maybe it's like before FNAF. Maybe like the dialogue is before FNAF 3, but the actual like visuals are after FNAF 3. I don't know. But basically in Sister Location, the baby animatronic, which is possessed by Elizabeth Afton, is like pretending to be helpful, and then it's like, yep, I'm not. So then there's this room called the scooping room, which basically is like this room that I think it's designed. Okay, so I think it's like designed to like clean out animatronics and like take their remnant. So like, like if I assume you probably like know what that means. Hopefully you do. If you don't, I don't really want to explain that because it's a bit gruesome. But and then the animatronics, I believe, have been using that because they wanted to escape the location that they're in. Basically, the location that they're in is like deep underground, and it's thought to be underneath of William Afton's house. So they've been trapped in this like metal stone enclosure thing for a while. It could be as little as like a couple years, or as many as like 30-40 years. So they would want to like get out pretty badly. So they've been like I think they've been like scooping out themselves, like the animatronics, and then like taking their parts and like putting them together into one like animatronic thing. And then like at the end, Baby's voice is like, go to this room. And it turns out to be the scooping room, and it turns out Baby is already like in this amalgamation thing called Ennard, and tricked Michael Afton because they wanted to use Michael Afton as a skin suit. So they scooped him out, they scooped out what's inside of him, and then they wore him like a skin suit because the animatronic, like the conglomerate animatronic of all of the animatronics in the Sister Location place was like small enough to fit in a human being exterior, to like skin. So then they leave, and then like eventually the skin suit starts to like decay, because the organs aren't there to like keep it not from decaying. So like people start to notice. So then the like Ennard is like, hey, let's leave. So then they like expel themselves from the skin suit by like I don't even want to explain. And then it's not like that bad, but I just don't want to explain. It's not like terrible like what some people might be thinking, but like it's not like as bad as like it could be. So yeah, so then there's literally just a skin suit on the ground, and then it stands up because Remnant, the immortal stuff, was in the skin suit. So technically, Michael Afton doesn't have any organs or anything, but is still alive, which is just great. And then so this is kind of where like the part that confuses me a lot about where where sister location kind of fits in the timeline, because in FNAF 2, the second security guard, and in FNAF 1, they're both fired for odor, which could just be like a joke, but it could also be like, hey, you're literally a skin suit and have no organs. You smell horrible. Let's fire you. Like that could be what it is, but it could also just be like a joke. Like, hey, like we're like a joke, but or it could just be like a pass away comment or something like that, or it could just not be like it could have been like what Scott intended, but it could just like not be canon anymore. That sister location happened first, because like also like why would sister location happen first? It would have to have happened like 1985, and in 1983 Michael Afton is literally like 12 max, so he'd be like 14 in sister location, like not old enough to get like a job or anything, although unless it was like a family thing, but like William Afton isn't dead yet. Why would he tell him to like go down there? It's like confusing. So it probably doesn't happen before those. If I had to guess, I would say it probably happens before FNAF 3 or after FNAF 3. But like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it happens before FNAF 3. Maybe it doesn't. Like, I just don't know. It could be either one. Because like the monologue that I was talking about, where it's like, Michael, father, it's me, Michael. I found her. She was right where you told me she was, or whatever it is. It's like, well, when did he say that? Did he say that before he ever saw his father in FNAF 3 and the Springtrap animatronic, or did he say that after he saw them and like he burned down the building and then was like, I'm gonna go find you again? I just don't know. It can't happen before FNAF World, obviously. Not FNAF World. FNAF 4, obviously. Oh god, FNAF World. Do I talk about FNAF World? I can talk about FNAF World. But then it can't happen like after Pizza Simulator, obviously, because Pizza Simulator is like the end of it's like kind of the end of like the I guess the saga. I don't know. And then there's the game Ultimate Custom Night, which is like this like mini game mode where you can like where there's like 50 animatronics, and you can like set the difficulty of each one and like turn them on and off, and you basically just like try to survive for as long as possible, or try to survive the night with as many animatronics as possible. And there's also like lore given throughout it. Basically, it's thought that Ultimate Custom Night is like William Afton's personal hell after dying in Pizza Simulator. Although like does security breach kind of like make that like not real anymore, or is security breach is the William Afton, the Springtrap in security breach not like the soul of William Afton or something? Is it literally just like how in like Help Wanted, the VR game, how it's more like a digital conscience of William Afton programmed onto a chip? Because in security, I guess that's probably what it is. Yeah. It's probably not. So yeah, like Ultimate Custom Night is probably still canon. Basically, Ultimate Custom Night is like William Afton, in hell, being tormented by the spirit of Golden Freddy. Well, probably specifically Cassidy, because I don't know if Evan Afton, his son, would necessarily torment him. But yeah, Cassidy like being an angry spirit and tormenting William in hell for eternity, and it's like metaphorical because every single time that we play that game, it's like repeating the process of the torment. Um, uh, and yeah. And then okay, so help wanted. Help it happened sometime before Security Breach, but well after Pizza Simulator. And basically, it's the Fazbear brand kind of like forming and basically being like, hey, let's make a game about all the past like things that happened at our restaurants and like make jokes about them because that's super funny, dude. Um, so they make a VR game and then well they hire a company called, oh god, it's either Silver Parasol or Blue Parasol, like in canon. But they hire a company, I think it's Silver Parasol, to make this VR game inspired by like the stories of the old pizzas, the old like pizza restaurants. And it's also kind of like mentioned in that game that the FNAF games were made in the universe, like are like canonically made by an indie developer in the universe that the games exist in. So like so technically like it's possible that the events in those games didn't happen at all, or like didn't happen in the same way that the games portrayed them in, but it could be possible that like the guy who made those games in the universe of FNAF like made them completely truthfully, or he like completely fabricated them. It's so like, yeah, like it's so now you know why like people are like mad about it. It's just so like all over the place. But what was I talking about? In the game, there's like these tapes that you can find, and if you do like a specific thing, like you like flip a lever, you can then like go to a secret room where you can like listen to the tapes, and basically the tapes tell you about like troubles with the production of the game and how the Fazbear brand sent them like some computer chips or like some code from one of the old locations that could help them like make the game faster or something like that. So then they put the code. I failed. Oh god, that was okay. That was a big fail. But so they like they put the code in, and then this guy who's basically William Afton, called, oh wait, what is his name? Oh, it's either I don't think there's like a canon name, but there's like fan names. It's either Glitch Trap or Malhair, I think. I think Glitch Trap is like the more commonly used one, but Malhair just like looks really cool and like it's a really cool pun because malware and like hair, like rabbit, it's like it's just like a cool pun. Sorry. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. So basically the story goes over how this Glitch Trap fellow was like possessing the game in a way, I guess, and then possessed one of the playtesters named Jeremy also, because there's so many people named Jeremy in this series. Possessed one of the people, possessed the playtester of the game, and then made him go basically insane. And then I think I don't know what happened to Jeremy eventually, but I think it's like it's like heavily suggested that he died. And then, the person making the tapes, I believe, also had to playtest, so it's like kind of suggested that the person making the tapes is also possessed by Springtrap and is like leaving false information in the tapes, because basically the tapes tell you like, hey, when he's about to possess you, do this certain thing, and then when you do this certain thing, you get possessed. So like it's pretty like it's thought that like the person making the tapes is like also possessed and is like helping the Glitch Trap guy possess more people, because basically the Glitch Trap guy wants to leave the game and wants to get into the real world. So he's like possessing people to get into the real world. And then so the person you're playing as in the VR game gets possessed by Springtrap at the end. I'm pretty sure, because in the oh god, what is it? In one of the endings, I think in the ending where you do what the person on the tapes tells you to do, there's like an ending where you get like put into a like a box, and then Springtrap is on the other side of the box, and you're like trapped, and he is outside, so he's like in the outside world, possessing you, but you're trapped in a box and you can't leave. And then yeah, so and then that kind of leads into Security Breach, because there was a DLC for the VR game. Oh god, what is it called? Brain. God. It's some kind of like Frankenstein thing. I don't know what it's called. But there's there's like a corn maze mini game, and if you find a mask in it, it's like a rabbit mask, which is the same one, not the same one, but it's like similar to the one that Vanny wears. And it's like Vanny's, but they like changed the model, I'm pretty sure, for Security Breach. But so if you put the mask on and then you look at the Springtrap plush that you get at the end of the game, for getting possessed, I think, if you like get this monologue, you get this conversation, like a conversation plays audio wise, which basically like is a conversation between Springtrap and Vanny, the person who's possessed in Security Breach, the rabbit girl, like the girl who wears the rabbit costume. And it's basically just talking about like, hey, have you picked one yet? And it's like creepy and such. And then yeah, so in Security Breach, it's thought that Vanny is possessed by Glitchtrap and is using Vanny to try to get like back to a physical form, which is why in the basement of Security Breach, there's like the Springtrap dude with like the parts that Vanny has collected from the Pizza Plex, that's what it's called in Security Breach. Yes. Collecting the parts from the Pizza Plex, and then you have all these like parts, and then you have like the boss battle, and I don't know what happens. In Security Breach, but yeah. And then it's okay. So there's also these mini games called Princess Quest, and the first one I believe was in the mobile port for VR, for the VR game, and it basically, I think the first one in the mobile port basically like talks about how Vanny got possessed, not necessarily talking about how it happened, but just like showing that it happened. And then in Security Breach, I don't know if there's 3. I know that there's like there's up to like a Princess Quest 3, but I don't know if there's 3 playable ones or if there's only 2 playable ones. But basically in those games in Security Breach, they're like arcade games that you can find. I think Princess Quest 2 is at the end of the hallway in the area where Music Man chases you. And then Princess Quest 3 is in like Vanny's hideout area, I believe. Basically it shows at the end of it, you get to the area where there's like a box with like a sliding door, which it's like the same sliding door that you saw on the end of Help Wanted, where Springtrap is outside. Not Springtrap, but Glitchtrap is outside. So it's kind of thought that if you play all the Princess Quest games, and then there's an ending, like you free Vanny and you like make her not possessed anymore. But I don't know, I don't think that's like the canon ending. It might be partially the canon ending, but I don't know if that's like fully the canon ending to Security Breach. I hope so, but that would be like, I don't know. And then also like talking about like Vanny, I at least think Vanny and Vanessa are the same person, because it just makes sense. But they could be separate people. It's just hard to tell. There's a lot of like evidence for both sides, I think, but there's just more. It just seems more likely that they're the same person to me. But yeah, because of like art and such. Wait. Well, no, the art technically showed that they were 2 separate people, because there was like statues that I think Funko made that were leaked like months before the game was released that showed that Vanny and Vanessa were like separate, but I want to say that they're the same person. I don't know. Okay, what else can I talk about? Is there anything else I can talk about? Oh, FNAF World, yeah. So FNAF World was a game made by Scott Cawthon, which was like that RPG like cutesy game. If you remember, it was basically just like a game that Scott Cawthon made because he just wanted a break from like talking about like murder and like all the horror stuff and things like that. So he made that, and it didn't really do that well, because kind of for good reason. Basically, the trailers for that game were like the gameplay was different than what was actually released, so a lot of people were mad. And then Scott Cawthon kind of was like, "Hey, yeah, I kind of see what you guys mean. Everybody can have refunds if you want, and I'm just gonna like spend a couple months like fixing the game and then release it for free." So yeah, and then, which was like a super Chad move, not gonna lie. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, FNAF World, basically not canonical in any way, I don't think. I'm pretty sure there's like not. I'm pretty sure like everything in it is like retcon for the most part, except for in FNAF World, there's like glitches around the map, I think, and if you like walk into them, then your gameplay gets like more glitched progressively. And if you like touch too many glitched things, I think you like get into this area with a guy called Old Man Consequences, who is also an Ultimate Custom Night. And in Ultimate Custom Night, you can kind of unlock the same sequence by only putting him on like one difficulty and nobody else, and then like doing his like mini game thing where he like pops up in the corner and you have to press C when it like gets in the right thing, if you know what I'm talking about. And I believe that brings you to the same like area. So there's like that connection there where it's like, I don't think it's like has any necessarily like lore relevance, but it's basically just telling in Ultimate Custom Night, it's there to tell Golden Freddy like, hey, you should just like not do this anymore, and you should just like let your spirit be free too. Like, well, the spirit of Golden Freddy, like Cassidy mainly, I think, probably. I don't know. But it's like, hey, you should like, you know, stop doing this because it's not really helping you in any way. But then Golden Freddy doesn't really listen, Cassidy doesn't really listen, and then you just like continue the game. Well, kind of. In order to get out of it, I think you either have to like close out of the game, or you have to go into the lake and then drown, I think. I forget what happens if you drown. I think you either, in Ultimate Custom Night, I think either the game crashes or you just get brought back to like the main screen. It probably crashes. It's indicating like, hey, you might have moved on or something like that. But I don't know if that actually indicates that. So yeah, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, and then in FNAF World there was also like the teaser baby, which was kind of cool in the end, but I don't think the way that it was dealt with was canonical, because it kind of indicates that Henry dies, but Henry doesn't die because Henry dies in Pizza Simulator, or at least probably dies. He might be in Security Breach, I don't know. So yeah, and then do I want to talk about the books? I could talk about the books for a while. There's so many weird. I guess what's okay? I'll just like talk about like the weirdest book that I can think of. What's the weirdest book? Into the Pit. It's like the weirdest book that I was talking about earlier. The book Fetch, like it's actually just really horrifying, and if you have like OCD, I probably wouldn't recommend reading or listening to it, because it actually just straight up bothered me so much. But of course it's like different for everybody. But like it's just like, I don't know, like what's the weirdest book? It's probably Into the Pit. There's also actually no, maybe not. There's also one where like a guy gives birth to like a baby Springtrap, and that's super weird. There's also one where like a kid gets turned into candy and then eaten, and then what else is there? That's weird. There's so many weird ones. Like every single one is just weird, but they're like actually pretty good. So I would recommend reading them. Or the YouTuber Dawko also does like read-throughs and like summaries of them. Not read-throughs, but he does like summaries of them. So that's how I like found out about most of the contents of the books. I just like listen to those a lot. Well, not a lot, but I listen to those occasionally. They're pretty good. What else can I talk about? what other like lore do I know? I mean, I could talk about like Sparky the dog. You know, Sparky the dog was like a fake like myth character in FNAF 1. Basically, somebody like made an image where there's like a dog animatronic in the corner of the one camera, and it was just completely fake, but everybody thought it was real and was trying to like find him and such. A lot of like early FNAF, there's a lot of like myths and such that were just like really fun because it was before people like knew how to like read the code of the game and such and find out like, hey, this character doesn't actually exist. I just did like a 1-minute scan and found that out. So everybody just kind of like believed these hoaxes, and they were like really fun to talk about and such. And then what else is there? Am I done? Am I finally done? Am I free? Am I free? Is that all that I can talk about? Probably. I think that's all that I can talk about, honestly. Yeah, I'm very sorry if you like actually just listened to this whole thing. I was not coherent for a single part of it, but you know, oh wait, I can talk about Cassidy. Yeah, Cassidy. Similar to like Evan Afton, how we found out his name, how people found out his name through like codes in the one book. They also found out Cassidy's name through the same book, I think, like with like similar codes. Not similar codes, but like also finding it through code, which is like really cool. Also, Afton's name was kind of confirmed in one of the books because there was a kid named Evan that had there was a kid named Evan in the books that had a brother named Michael who is described to be slightly robotic. And if you know, in the game lore, Michael Afton is slightly robotic because he's a skin suit and, like not fully a human anymore. So he's of course gonna be slightly robotic. But yeah, I think that's all I can talk about really. So I mean, bye, I guess. I don't know.